Prosecutors finished presenting their case today in the rape trial of two former UT football players. A.J. Johnson and Michael Williams are charged with raping a fellow UT student back in 2014.
That student says she told the men no and stop and testified she was terrified. They say she is lying because she was embarrassed. Today, the lead Knoxville police investigator took the stand in this case.
Prosecutors asked about the interaction between UT and KPD in the early days of the investigation. 10 News reporter Cole Sullivan was in court. And Cole, what are they trying to prove here?
Robert and John, when this case began, prosecutors said that they would show the two football players had protection from officials on campus. Today's testimony was their attempt to prove that. The state introduced phone records from former head coach Butch Jones today. They show then KPD Chief David Roush called him within an hour of the finding out about the investigation. The lead KPD investigator on the case says that's not normal, but defense attorneys pointed out that there's no way to know what was said on that call.
You have not interviewed Coach Jones about those calls, have you?
I don't think I would have access to Coach Jones.
The investigator also said that he had to coordinate with UT to interview the players, and he says a UT athletic official sat in on those interviews. He called that unusual. Court adjourned early today around 3:30. The defense will start presenting their case first thing tomorrow morning. We're continuing the conversation right now on our Facebook page. We're about halfway through the trial, so we'll talk about how the jury is holding up and what the defense might do next. Plus, we'll answer your questions right now on Facebook Live.
All right, Cole, thank you very much. And you can learn more about this case online. There you can also read about opening statements and listen to some testimony from the alleged victim and other witnesses. All that at WBIR.com. We are